Here we are again with another episode of Why Real Estate. I am your host, Lane Thompson, owner of Lane Thompson Real Estate. We're grateful you're here and you're listening. Please like, subscribe, comment, share with your friends. We have a great guest with us today, the master himself, an expert in all things relating to your roof. Kyle Dyson, owner and operator of Arches Roofing. Something about Kyle that you may not know is he's an incredible breakdancer. I've seen it with my own two eyes. Maybe if we're lucky during this, he'll bust out some moves for us, or not. Yeah, there you go. But Kyle is a good friend, very genuine, honest, sincere. He's a man that will quote you fairly. He'll make sure that you're taken care of, when it comes to all things roof. Here in a few years, my family and I will replace our roof, and there's no hesitation on my part. I'll call Kyle with his crews to get him out there because I know it'll be fair and I know he'll do a good job. Kyle,
yeah,
talking about the top of the house.
Okay.
Right?
Yep.
A lot of important things protection-wise from the sun, the elements, the wind, the rain, the snow. In Utah, we get all of it. Very rough, right?
Yep.
But a good roof, if it's been well maintained, can save you, if you're a seller, thousands and thousands of dollars. A bad roof, if you don't notice it within a good inspection, when you're a buyer, it can cost you thousands and thousands of dollars, right?
That's correct.
Quality is incredible from a real estate standpoint. The roof is one of those major expenses that I pay close attention for my listing clients. I want to make sure that they've done good maintenance. Kyle's a guy I don't hesitate to call if there's anything questionable about a roof. Tell us a little bit about yourself and how long you've been doing roofing and the type of work that you do and everything.
Okay. Well, I've been in the roofing industry for about 10 years now. We do all types of roofing from asphalt to flat roofs, tile roofs, metal roofs, things like that. You don't get a ton of tile roofs down here in the valley, mainly in St. George and hotter areas like St. George and Arizona. One of the biggest things that I always try to tell anybody that's doing a roof is your roof's what protects everything on the inside. If you've got thousands of dollars of stuff inside and your roof's leaking, it's going to drip onto those things. Your roof's what protects your house from getting mold and stuff like that as well. A lot of people I find in the industry is they'll remodel the whole inside of a home, but they'll leave the roof in disarray just because roofing is an expensive part of the project.
What are some things to look out for when you're getting a roof replacement done? I know one of the things you do is you fix a lot of mistakes of other roofers. Mm-hmm. But what should a consumer look out for?
A lot of the things that you want to look out for as a consumer and for realtors and stuff like that is you want to look at when was the home built? How many layers does the roof have on it? Code in Utah requires allows you to have 2 layers, but that doesn't mean it's a good roof. Flashings are a huge part. Anytime you've got a wall to roof area, you want to make sure that area is properly flashed. You want to make sure that roofs are properly vented. We have a big problem with that here in Utah. And I'm not just talking about...
What's the effect of a roof that's not vented properly? What can go wrong?
You're going to get a lot of degranulation, which degranulation is when the shingles start shedding their granules. Basically, the roof is saying, I can't breathe right now. Ventilation is a huge part of the longevity of a roof. Yeah, your ventilation comes from the vents on the roof, whether it's turtle vents or ridge vent, power vents, turbine vents, but you also have to have good intake. You've got soffit vents all the way around the home, gable vents typically on the side or on the front of a garage. Those need to be not blocked by insulation, and a lot of homes, even newer homes, those things are getting blocked, and you can have 30 vents on a 20 square roof, but if that intake is blocked, those vents aren't doing its job.
So sometimes a builder or whoever the insulation installer is, they'll cover all of those soffits so the roof can't breathe.
Yep.
Which then affects the longevity of the roof.
Yep.
Talk to us a little bit about what flashing is and why it's important.
Okay. So typically, flashings, you're going to have, all homes are different and they're all made differently, right? Around your chimneys, you need to have step flashings. They need to be fully ice and watered up around the chimney about, anywhere from, a foot, 6 inches to a foot. You put your step flashing in and you've got your counter flashing. The main mistake that I see in Utah is it's called kick-out flashings. And that's typically at the bottom of the eave, where eave meets a wall. There's a kick-out flashing. It'll kick out into the gutter. Most homes I run into don't have those kick-out flashings, or the kick-out flashing isn't big enough. So it needs to extend past that gutter.
Okay, I want to vouch for that because I sold a home about a year ago or less that did not have the proper kick-out flashing. And the homeowner was unaware of it. But what had happened after living in the house for over 10 years, the water coming off the roof where it meets that wall didn't have the kick-out flashing that redirected the water into the gutter. And where did that water go? Right down the front of the house, got behind the stone, so it's completely ruined the stone, and some of the stone had fallen off. Okay, and it was kind of in an obscure spot, not as noticeable until you got right up to it and could see it. But that cost my client $15,000 off their purchase price. And maybe it didn't cost that much to fix that, but that's a simple piece of metal, right, to redirect the water. So you want to get out and make sure as a homeowner, you know, regardless if you're selling your house or not, you want to preserve your asset, make sure that flashing is properly placed and that it's doing what it's designed to do, right?
Exactly. You know, a lot of times I run into people, homes where they've got leaking. Just did one, in fact, in Draper last week. They had a steep 10-12 pitch roof going down into a very low pitched area, which is called a dead valley or a dead zone. And they just had shingles, and so what was happening, and it went right up against a wall. That's typically where you're going to find those dead valleys. So we had to tear off all that flashing, re-flash it, ice and water it, and then we put in a membrane system there. But this particular lady in Draper, I mean, this is a big home. It's probably a $2 million home. And she had water leaking inside the walls, causing mold, water
Was
damage.
she even aware that it was happening?
She was not aware.
So how would you catch that as a homeowner? What should you look for so that that doesn't happen to you when you can't actually see it?
You know, a lot of times as a homeowner, I always recommend doing, you know, maintenances on your roof or having inspections. We as Arches Roofing, we offer free inspections to homeowners. So typically if your home is, let's say your home is 10 years old, I always tell every homeowner, have your roof inspected. If your roof is brand new today, 10 years from now, get a roofer out there to look at it. Even 5 years. Be proactive. You know, a lot of times people, a lot of roofing companies in Utah, they want to tell you, oh yeah, you've got a 30-year roof, you don't have to worry about it. But no, it's just like a car. You're not going to drive your car 5,000 miles without getting another oil change. You're not going to drive your tires 40,000 miles without changing those tires. Those tires are going to blow. It's the same thing with a home. You've got to make sure that you're maintaining that home. And to me, I think the roof is the greatest asset on is the most important part of a home to protect that asset. If you're not protecting that asset and protecting that roof, maintaining it every 3 to 5 years, typically after that 10-year mark, those issues will show up. And, you know, being in Utah, you know, our storms come.
People had trees getting knocked over.
Trees, shingles blowing off. I mean, it was gnarly, and it was only a 30 to 40 mile an hour windstorm. But if you've got a roof that's 15 to 25 years old, it's going to blow those shingles off.
So how do you work with an insurance company to make sure that, you know, all these years someone spends on insurance, you know, paying for it, make sure they can leverage that to be able to cover their roof if there's damage to it? Do you work directly? How easy is that process?
The process is simple. Really what you want to do is you want to get, you know, me out there to look at the roof, inspect it, see if there's damage to it. Every insurance company is different. You know, policies are all written pretty similar, but as far as coverages and stuff like that, insurance companies are a little bit different in how they cover their stuff. You know, wind is covered, hail is covered, those things are all covered. Damage inside is covered, you know, from water. If you get a big windstorm coming through, you need to call a roofer or call somebody who knows a roofer who can get out and inspect it and see if there is a covered claim. A lot of times you deal with people going and knocking on doors who are trying to get these homeowners to file claims, but you want to go with somebody who's local, somebody who's trusted. We do have a lot of roofers here in Utah that are not local to Utah, and unfortunately, you know, people will sign with those people and they end up getting a bad product.
If you're watching this, I hope you don't take anything lightly that Kyle had shared, because that is a heavy, heavy investment to have to pay for if you haven't done the job to maintain it. And if you do need to replace it, because not all roofs last forever, just like anything in life, I highly recommend Kyle and his team at Arches Roofing. Before we finish here, is there anything else you'd like to add, Kyle?
Lay, hammer, nail.
Love it. Thanks for tuning in, everybody.